I'm Kier Spates. Many of you know me from the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Today, I'm super excited to welcome you to another episode of Living Your Life podcast, a lifestyle talk show that provides positive stories and information about sickle cell disease, healthcare, fitness, healthy eating, and mental health. As always, I'm joined by my co-host friend and renowned author, medical doctor, and sickle cell expert, Dr. Corey Hebert. Dr. Hebert, how you doing, man?
Ready for duty, sir. How you do? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm always good, man. Every time I see you, man, because, it's another episode, man, and we're going to talk about so many things today with our guest. And, knowing your status, man, the sickle cell trait and knowing your status is always a big thing for you.
It's look. Let me tell you something. I think it's an emergency. I think that's one of the biggest medical emergencies in this country right now. There's millions of people walking around hurting, and they just don't know. That's why whenever I see this lady that we bringing on today, we can't stop talking because every day that we don't have this done nationally, internationally, somebody's hurting, somebody's dying. So we gotta make sure we get this done, bro. So I'm really excited today.
Well, man, I'm absolutely excited too, Dr. Hebert. And, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today because I'm going to tell you something. Today's guest, today's guest is super important to have on this show. She's a leader in hemoglobinopathy education, providing in-person and digital educational opportunities geared towards raising awareness of sickle cell trait and disease, empowering patients to be proactive advocates for their health and attracting sickle cell allies beyond this affected blood disorder population. Her aim for her programs include patients, caregivers, families, community members, and healthcare providers. Living your life, please welcome to the show today, Dr. Tomia Wooten Austin. Dr. Tomia, welcome to Living Your Life. How you doing, friend?
I'm so
We're so
good.
glad
Did
to
you
have
call out my whole name? Yes, you did. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah. I'm telling
Hell
you.
yeah.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
Let me take a sip. Let me take a sip. That's what we're
take
doing.
a sip.
See,
No. Wait a minute. No, you
she
didn't.
got a little
No,
got a
she
little
didn't.
FAMU in there.
Did she know
I wouldn't be me if I didn't.
What?
I wouldn't be me
You know
if I
what?
didn't.
Hold on. Hey, team, next time we do a show, I need Panthers up here.
What
I
about
need
this?
2 Black Panthers up here. We're not doing
What about this? What about this?
Don't let me pull my strikeout on you.
No, man. I think y'all look so crazy. Y'all be doing that to us, man. I saw y'all we played y'all. I was doing that. The whole thing. Oh, man.
We play in Houston this coming season. I can hardly wait.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, you know what? It's all HBCU love.
Yes, it
And you know
is.
what?
Yes, it is.
It is. It's just what we do. It's our culture. We
Yes.
own it. And you
Yes.
know what? We love the Rattlers. We proud of what y'all do for us, man. It's just one of those things that if you didn't go to HBCU, you ain't gonna get it.
You don't get it. You don't get
We don't have
it.
time to explain it to you.
And how about this? After affirmative action last year got yacked up, a lot more people gonna get it. They gonna get it soon.
In a minute, they're gonna get it.
They gonna get it.
Best thing that ever happened to me. So, Dr. Austin, let's just talk about this. You have a philosophy that says sickle cell is experienced by not just the patient. What does that mean? Explain that to us so we get where you're coming from with this.
It's the whole family. Dr. Hebert can definitely help me with this. I am a PhD, a researcher, not a clinician, but statistically, every child of our sickle cell disease warriors will at least have sickle cell trait. And then our trait warriors, in most cases, 2 trait parents make a diseased offspring with every pregnancy, with every roll of the dice. So it is not just experienced by the patient. It's experienced by their caregivers, by their offspring. And beyond that, people that care about them, their allies, their friends that grow up with them. So when we educate, we need to educate with the entire family in mind. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. All your data is as right as usual. It hurts my feelings when I mentioned this on our last podcast when we had this whole thing about they have this cure for sickle cell and all this kind of stuff, and we know that that's not really the reality. And I have patients that come to me every day. And their parents come to me and say, Dr. Hebert, I'm so happy today because I heard and I saw on TV that there's a cure. So I'm here to just go ahead and sign up so we can get this thing happening so my child ain't gotta, have this issue. And I'm like, you need $7 million and you need several other things. And you can't get this. And the kid don't start crying because the kid's 10 months old. Who starts crying is the parents. And that's why we do this
And that's
podcast.
so wrong. That's so wrong to give us hope and then snatch it. That's the hard part for me to grasp, and explaining that to people and understanding that I choose to live a different life. I've almost died 8 times from sickle cell. And so I've made peace with my sickle cell. I went to myself and I said, hey, this is not going to take anything from you anymore. You're going to actually go out here and live, and you're going to have the support of your parents and your family. And that's really important, because I don't know what I would be doing if it wasn't for my mother and my father's philosophies and teachings, even dealing with this disease. My grandmothers, my cousins, my aunts, who've all seen me at one point in time in the hospital, who've all came to my aid. I mean, I'm sitting up there, it was hurting me because it is about the family. I'm sitting there in the hospital, and everybody that got a job is in here because I got sick. Now, we look at the family. The family just lost $22,000 this day because of me. And then they're going to come back tomorrow. And I may be in here 2 weeks. So there are so many things that sickle cell does affect. And then the other part about it is it also affects too, is that the people who don't understand, they're like, well, what's wrong with you? Why you ain't like the rest of us? I'm too young to tell you that. It's just what it is.
There's that expectation that you're supposed to know, and unfortunately, you warriors end up educating your own providers, and I call it the 1,000-leg table. We talk about one leg, sickle cell disease. We talk about another leg, sickle cell trait, but we know it's 1,000 legs to this table, and all of that is not considered. But when we think of other conditions out there, they covering all 1,000 legs. And that's the same thing that's needed for sickle cell.
Yeah. Well, let me ask a question. This is really out there right now in sports. I support all people that have any type of illness, right? But I'm really kind of get thrown off when I see like the NBA or the NFL and all the black men out there wearing pink shoes and pink helmets and pink towels, for breast cancer. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want no hate mail here. Breast cancer is very important. Okay. Susan Komen Foundation, they've done a great job of marketing so they can get their money for what they need to get their money for. But we got to always remember that sickle cell is a historically and predominantly black disease. We got all these young black men on the football field supporting breast cancer when half of them and half of their family don't even know if they got sickle cell trait or not. So this is the deal. Can you play sports, in your opinion, and play well in sports if you have sickle cell trait? And what are some of the issues that you have been faced with when you talk to patients, and not patients, but people about this?
So the short answer is yes. And, we definitely have a severe lack of surveillance when it comes to the real numbers that are affected by sickle cell disease and trait here in this country and worldwide, literally. But there's an estimated 18% of NFL athletes that are trait warriors that carry sickle cell trait.
What?
Yes.
18?
Yes, 18%.
That's not no low number.
That is not a low number.
And I think it's higher.
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to say. If you think about the fact that some people say 1 in 8, 1 in 12 people are walking around with sickle cell trait, and all of them ain't brown. Some of them are, of Indian, Latin, Italian, Greek, Turkish descent. Anybody can have sickle cell. Anybody can have sickle cell trait. So if 18% of pro athletes, of NFL athletes have sickle cell trait, and we never, outside of Corey Stringer, and I'll give the NFL its kudos, the athletic trainers are getting it right. They are making sure these athletes are well prepared, they are rested. We say at the As One Foundation, they get to warm up, drink up, rest up. That's the formula. They have to warm up. They have to go from rest to exertion gradually. They have to hydrate before, during, and after, and consume half their body weight in ounces of water per day. And they have to be allowed recovery breaks.
But Dr. Austin, but the crazy part about that, this is the crazy part about that. the boys that have died on the football field, they don't die during the games because football is a start and stop game. They die during training because they don't let them rest.
Yes, that's during the conditioning workouts, which is why sickle cell trait is classified as the top killer of collegiate athletes. It's, where they're trying to make them, go hard. And these young athletes culturally will choose to ignore their body, go through the wall. And warm up, drink up, rest up is what could have saved Devon Darling's life, who is the brother of our foundation, and too many other athletes, too many other people that's in basic training in the military, too many other young female basketball players that have lost their lives to sickle cell trait because of those prolonged conditioning workouts. Yes, you can play, and yes, you can play well. You can be a millionaire. I mean, it's out there that Antonio Brown, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and an elite
His
wide
first
receiver,
team, he got sickle
trait.
cell trait.
Yes.
Man,
Yes.
shut up.
Yes.
Let me tell you
Yes.
something. This is what's so crazy.
Yes.
Because, as prolific as a wide receiver he was, well, how come we don't get people like Antonio Brown to actually speak up about these things and talk about what's going on in the league? And I know, with as many black people in the NFL, you mean to tell me only 18%? It's got to be higher than that.
I
It
believe
does.
it's higher than that.
I got a question. How many
Yes.
people? How many people, Dr. Austin, do in college athletes have died in college athletics rather have died from sickle cell? How many that we have documented that we know? Because the last count I saw was like
Died-
17.
Die from
No,
sickle cell
no.
disease or sickle cell?
Trait.
Trait.
Okay.
No, it's in the hundreds, and I really would think we're teetering over into the thousands. This time of
What?
year, yes, off season workout time. This is when the guys have come back. They've just watched all the Rose Bowl, the playoffs, everything in January, and they're back now to show what they've done over the break. And they're being put through these indoor or outdoor mat drills. And they got to show and prove. Some of their workouts are called gassers.
Oh, yeah, I
They've
heard that.
always been called
Yeah.
that. They've
Yeah.
always been called that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that means that they want you to get beyond
Yeah.
what your body is
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
And you
they
do
do.
that with sickle cell trait. That's a danger zone.
Well,
That's a
Dr.
danger
Austin,
zone.
so we have a big issue in this country with the hematologic associations still not officially saying that sickle cell trait can kill you, even though if you go to the CDC website, it's clearly stated, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't really understand why they're doing that, but let me ask a question. If I asked a hematologist, or if I asked somebody in that ilk, how many people have died from sickle cell trait in college athletics, what number would they give me?
They will say that we have to look at, well, they probably not give you a number because they're looking at other subdominant effects. Like Devon's death certificate says exhaustion and dehydration complicated by sickle cell trait. Because as far as I know, sickle cell trait does not even have a cause of death code. So
Right.
the surveillance
Why
is
not?
already, huh?
Why
know-
not?
Yeah. Well,
Why
there you go.
not? That's the
Yeah.
question.
Why not?
Because
Look,
y'all,
Dr. Hebert,
it keep happening.
Yeah,
We don't
it-
need a
well,
code.
So heat stroke gets confused for sickle cell trait crisis.
Rhabdomyolysis.
Rhabdo absolutely gets
Yeah.
confused. But how do you explain renal medullary carcinoma?
Carcinoma. That's right.
First of
And
all, I
it's-
don't even
it's-
know what that is. That's
It's-
I'm the only
it's a
one
kid-
without a
it's a
doctors here.
It's
But-
a
Kidney
kidney
cancer.
cancer. It's a
Kidney
kidney cancer.
okay, well,
But-
say that
but
for the rest of us. Tell them
Statistically,
here, use all these doctor terms like the regular people ain't watching.
100% of RMC patients are trait people. 100%. And there is now research that is showing a direct correlation from exertion to trait to RMC. That's in the research. That's not Tomia. That's not me being passionate. That's in the research. So, some of them will tell you it's something else. Well, what is it?
Okay, so explain that process then for us. So you saying if you have trait and then it connects to RNC directly. So you have the trait later on in life, with kidney cancer?
No. Okay. So I'll just backtrack and say that RMC is a rare cancer. But when it's diagnosed, number one, it's diagnosed usually in stage 3 or 4, which is late stage and very fatal. But in those rare cases that it is diagnosed, it is a person with sickle cell trait. And now they're able to even go back into the patient's history and see that there was not only just exertion, but over exertion. We just recently, may she rest in peace, Dr. Maldonado was a family physician, a practicing family physician out of California. She had sickle cell trait, and she recalls she would run. She was a runner, and she would feel tired. She would feel exhausted. And I'm talking about that beyond, where pro athletes can go sometimes. And she would push through. She had renal medullary carcinoma. She did go and get chemotherapy and was in remission for a short time, but it came back and it took her, and I definitely dedicate a lot of my presentations to her memory. But she said when we presented together, sickle cell trait is not benign. Sickle cell trait is not asymptomatic. And I am living proof that there is a connection between trait, exertion, and RMC.
Yeah. And lots of kidney issues like chronic kidney disease. We have a study from that was done by Britain, some British scientists on American soldiers. And that study actually came out to say that you're going to have chronic kidney disease if you have sickle cell trait. It's as clear as day, 15,000 people. So the issue is now, why aren't people aware? Why aren't people aware? And that's the part that's crazy.
I'm going to give you my answer to that. When you brought up the whole world turning pink in October, that's called universal education. But what is really happening is doctors are incentivized to treat and raise awareness about cancer. And that's what's missing with sickle cell. The funding is not there to incentivize the practitioners. So
wait a minute, doctor. When you say incentivized, how? Is it financial? Is it other benefits? Is it board seats? What do you mean they're incentivized?
Dr. Hebert, would you say all of the above? I mean,
What?
yeah.
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 Let me tell you, Kier, you've heard me say this, Kier, and I'm glad Dr. Austin's on here. When you have a hematologist, your hematologist is called a hematologist oncologist, right? So if I ain't got nothing to help you for sickle cell, and so that sickle cell is a small part of hematology. So if I ain't got nothing for you for sickle cell for 60 years, no medicine, right? But they're coming out with cancer treatments every day. What am I going to spend my time on? I ain't going to spend my time on my sickle cell patients. I ain't got nothing for you. And all I'm going to do is you going to come in there and I'm going to say, what you want me to do? And then I'm constantly coming up with new treatments because all this funding for cancer. Then that's what I'm going to spend my time on. That's what I'm going to spend my time, my money doing because I'm going to be able to incentivize to do that stuff.
Yep. There's money to research cancer. I mean, there's plenty of issues with sickle cell and sickle cell trait that are not even being researched right now because those labs cost, to pay the technicians and the researchers. Yeah, so the incentives are not there.
So what you just told a person with sickle cell trait, deal with it. That's so wrong. That's wrong. You telling people like me with sickle cell disease, deal with it.
Yeah. The worst part about telling the person with sickle cell trait to deal with it is that they don't even know.
They don't even know.
They don't
Dr.
even
Hebert,
know.
I heard you on this podcast, and I've been saying it ever since. You said 97% of all sickle cell disease births in this United States of America are born to two parents that did not know their sickle cell status.
That's true.
And I've repeated that, and I've had other MDs say, I would say it's higher than 97%. People don't know. We've had newborn screenings in this country mandated since about 95. But, okay, every baby born since 95 is newborn screened. Okay. So what about the people born before 95?
Right, and let me say this. It's in 1995. Where we in 2024, right? So that means basically everybody of childbearing age.
Ding, 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 ding.
Everybody. And then when you take African Americans, we have babies earlier.
We don't plan. We don't family plan. Yeah.
So almost all of the people that have those babies could know their status. But like this is
Should.
one of the hardest things. I presented this at South by Southwest, and if y'all don't know what South by Southwest, I know y'all do, but some of the audience might not know. It's like they have movies there and stuff, but it's also a big social conference, and there's a whole bunch of young dudes, mostly white, that are about 20 years old, that are billionaires, that come there with these hoodies on and talk about world events, right? Stuff. Rather. Anyway, so the point is, I'm sorry about that. So I'm presenting this. And they said, well, Dr. Hebert, let me get this straight. What you're telling me is that black people and brown people around the world, but in the United States in particular, are dying because of the lack of the aggregation of the data that already exists. I said, yes. And they said, we don't even believe you because that would be a crime.
It's criminal.
That's what they told me. Billionaires.
It is criminal. It is criminal.
Well, I found out. I just learned hemoglobinopathy. Okay, aggregation is a new word. I'm gonna have to start getting my vocabulary up on this show right now. I can see that right now. I need to start reading in between shows. That's what I need to do. I need a dictionary here every single show because the lack of aggregation. Lord help us. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me say it again. We have all the test results. And we haven't given the test results to everybody in a way that makes it easy for them to get the test results. So people are dying, but the test is already done. So all we got to do is give people their results so they can understand what they have. And then we can decrease the amount of sickle cell patients by 50% in 5 years. If we just had a public service announcement to say, here, go find your status or give it to the people. We haven't aggregated the data. The data's there. We got to put it together.
And don't tell them because every state still is not sending a letter. But with the letter that gets sent, all it says is sickle cell trait is nothing to worry about. You'll live a normal life and just avoid the 25% chance of birthing a child with sickle cell disease by not procreating with someone with sickle cell trait. So that letter just told you, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
How to go about it.
Put the letter in the kitchen junk drawer. Because my baby ain't got nothing to worry about. And the next time it might get discussed is if that baby decides to play NCAA
college
sports.
And
they say the same thing. Nothing to worry about. It's benign. It's asymptomatic. You'll live a normal life. But there's too many people living with sickle cell trait that are symptomatic, that do have issues. And the doctors are only getting 5 minutes of education on sickle cell trait in a typical medical school curriculum.
I wouldn't even say 5 minutes. I mean, I went to a black medical school and I got 5 minutes. So you know what's happening at University of Iowa.
Well, okay. Well, all this. See, that's why, Dr. Austin, you do such great work with everything you're doing. Because, talk to us now about your advocacy. Let's talk about the As One Foundation, and what is this organization about?
So I keep saying Dillard and Devon Darling. These are a set of identical twins that were born in Nassau, Bahamas. The foundation name comes from the fact that the twins were surprised when they were born because throughout the pregnancy, doctors have been hearing two hearts beating as one. They didn't know they were twins when they were born. And this becomes really meaningful when they come to the United States after their parents divorced as toddlers. They went to Florida State University to play football. That's where they got tested because all before they didn't know that they had the sickle cell trait. They were told nothing to worry about, live a normal life. They didn't get any warm up, drink up, rest up education or anything like that. And they were, let to play. They played as true freshmen and won every single game that year except the championship under Bobby Bowden. And like I said, the juxtaposition of young athletes, they just won every game playing as true freshmen except the championship in January of 2001. And then here comes February. We got off-season workouts, those prolonged workouts. February 26, 2001, they were in one of those workouts where their coaches told them, your body is amazing. You'll pass out before you die. So don't worry about us feeling like we're working you too hard. And if you do pass out, we got athletic trainers here that'll take care of you. Well, they also put him in the position where if one man fails, the whole team fails. So they got 63 drills to go through. They've completed 62 of those 63 drills. Devon, with sickle cell trait, is dehydrated. He's exhausted. He's being carried through the drills by his other teammates because nobody wants to start over. He passes out. He passes out again. He passes out for a final time and dies on February 26, 2001. And like I said, his death certificate says exhaustion and dehydration complicated by sickle cell trait. So fast forward, his identical twin would have to go to another school because Florida State wouldn't allow him to play. They didn't, know enough or whatever to realize that he could play. He was his identical twin, as genetically matched as could be. So he ended up going way over to Washington State, played there for 2 years, broke all their collegiate records, and was drafted to the Baltimore Ravens. And upon making it to the NFL, he established the As One Foundation in memory of his brother. I joined the foundation in 2010, and the sickle cell trait was just blaring as where we should be. We were doing backpack drives and turkey drives and scholarships, but we really needed to talk about Devard's story as a sickle cell trait athlete. And so we changed our mission, and now we work under the mission to empower families globally, delivering life-saving sickle cell education. And this is what we do. We educate providers. We educate community members, parents, the patients, the caregivers, and we recruit allies. We recruit people like me, who was not born with sickle cell trait or disease. I'm a sickle cell ally. I'm a proud sickle cell ally because I care enough to care. I can talk about sickle cell ad nauseum. I can talk about it all day long. And I don't have sickles in my blood, but I see the importance of addressing that 1,000-leg table. So our advocacy is in education. It's in actually advocating in the legislature. We got 2 bills passed, but with bipartisan support in the state of Texas last year. One became law, and dear Governor Abbott vetoed the other one for political reasons. So we'll go back. We don't. There's nobody too big or too small that we won't speak our truth to their power. And of course, we also try to empower the patient population in Houston and beyond Houston, all the way to Australia and African nations, Bahrain and Canada, about sickle cell and sickle cell trait.
Dr. Austin, let me say this too, and see if you could echo this. People need to recognize that just like there are people that have sickle cell disease that barely go to the hospital. Some people with sickle cell disease don't even have to ever go to the hospital, and some people are in the hospital every week. The same thing exists, and I call it a mosaic. The same thing exists for sickle cell trait. So that you have some people that have sickle cell trait that will be silent, and they would never know. But you have some people who have sickle cell trait where their genetics are so complicated that they have more disease and illness than some people with sickle cell disease. It kind of overlaps.
And that's why they need to be tested, and not these, these non-sensitive tests. They need to go and get the hemoglobin electrophoresis that will measure the percentage of the abnormal hemoglobin. Because, as you said, if there's anything above 30% of the sickle gene, then that's an indicator of symptoms in a person with trait. And I know a young gentleman. He is an athlete. He is a collegiate athlete. He's lost his starting position, not truly because of stigma, but because sickle cell is wreaking havoc. His sickle cell trait is wreaking havoc in his body. And he doesn't understand, but his parents are trying to understand. But I was like, the first thing you need to do is go get tested. Let's find out what is the sickle content in your blood. And that electrophoresis test can tell you that. And then it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So now we got to make sure you're rested, make sure your stress level is low, make sure you're hydrated.
Take your folate,
Yep.
there's so many things you got to do. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And another big thing that you all do at the As One Foundation is y'all actually are big into giving blood.
Oh, most definitely. That's
Yeah.
that's the one thing all of us, pretty much all of us. And I don't know if you've ever spoken to how many blood transfusions you've had, but I know that one blood donor can make the difference in 3 people's lives. And if you're a power donor, my husband takes pride in saying he's a power donor. You can save 6 lives. You start regenerating blood the moment they put the needle in your arm. So you don't have to spend any money. You just go in there and bleed. I bleed in 5 minutes. Some people take a little longer, but I'm looking forward to, breaking records with the gallons of blood that I've donated. And this is especially needed by us Black folk. We represent 4% of blood donors, but we represent 21% of people that may need blood. Whether it's sickle cell, whether it's being in an accident and needing blood because we lost blood, whether it's cancer because, the platelets are used. So we just it needs to become
21% of it though. 4% is supplying 21% of the blood.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we can't sustain that.
Yeah.
We have more
sustain
blood
that.
shed. Black folks have more blood shed for many reasons in this
Yeah.
country.
Yes, and it does, and I think that's important. That we do give blood. I'm working with the Red Cross. Shared by Blood campaign, and there's the importance. See, I've learned, Dr. Hebert and Dr. Austin. I've learned the importance of this picture for sickle cell is starting to really get a shape for me. I'm learning about the blood donations. I'm learning about the treatments. I'm learning about the people, the organizations, the companies who support us. All of these things are starting to take shape. Like, this is what my world should enhance. I should be a part of all these things. I should be a part of the advocacy. I should be part of the blood donations. I should be part of the hospital visits. I should be part of the education. See, now I'm starting to get a picture of what my sickle cell world looks like, when it used to be just me. And so, with Dr. Hebert and Dr. Austin, what y'all have shown us is that this is like you said, a 1,000-leg table. It is no one way to go about this. We just have to start taking on the issues that are important to us.
This platform is so imperative. I cannot even tell you, just you using your platform to help us bring these messages out to the masses. That's something we didn't have before. So not only are you learning, but so many of us are learning. Every time I log on, I learn, and I feel like I am a fangirl of both of you. But
thank you so much.
Yeah, this is important. What you're doing is important here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you
We
so much,
really
man.
do appreciate that.
Well, I
We
mean,
do.
Dr. Austin, this was I've talked about a very vibrant conversation with you today. Tell people where they can find you and what's something you want them to know. If there's somebody out there listening, what would you say to them right now today? If there's a warrior who's down, if there's a family member who may not understand, if there's some people who are going through something, depression, mental health, whatever it is that you want a message that you want to leave with them, what would that be, Dr. Austin?
The As One Foundation is here, and we are here because of generous people. We will celebrate the memory of Devon, 23 years since his death, on Sunday, February 25th, 2024, at our 14th annual Darling Dash. All those proceeds, this is not a group that comes into Houston and takes all the money out. No, that money stays in Houston and we deliver education. So we are working for all of the nameless faces that maybe we will never be introduced to. But we are advocating in those halls in Austin, Texas. We are preparing educational documents. We are doing presentations 4 o'clock in the morning so that we can reach the folks over in Australia about this condition. And we have regular blood drives. So maybe your kid or maybe you are benefiting from one of the 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 blood drives we have a year. We are a source that you can rely on, and we certainly are a source that needs to benefit from whatever you're able to give. So asonefoundation.org is our website. Asonefoundation.org/Darling-2024 is the registration site that you can register to volunteer. You can register to participate. You can register to run or walk, sponsor, or even donate. That's our website. That's how As One Foundation is where we are on all social media. The As One Foundation on Facebook, and we're out here. We're with you. We're with you.
Oh man, I appreciate it, Dr. Hebert. I don't know what to say, man. I could talk
Yeah.
to her all day.
All day.
I
Look,
promise you, that was. Yeah, I've learned so much today about being an athlete with sickle cell trait.
yeah,
And I mean, come on,
this,
all the
this is
players in
real.
the NFL. That was awesome.
Look, this is real deal, and this is where, as we move forward, there are going to be therapies, there's going to be drugs, there's going to be lots of things, and really coming out about sickle cell trait, because I think, and I'm no conspiracy theorist, but what I do feel is that there is a reason, a real reason, besides just the skin color, besides that they don't want people with sickle cell trait to know or to really be aware. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it with the help of Dr. Austin, and she's going to get to the bottom of it with the help of me, because because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't actually make sense, because I'm going to throw one more thing there. I'm sorry, kid, to keep going, but if you know that there's 4 million people, you're making drugs for 100,000 people, right? Making drugs for 100,000 people. But if you know that there's 4 million people that could be suffering, and you don't want to make drugs for them, why not? That's where your profit would be. So why not?
I call it the influencer, the trait parent or the trait person in the family. That's an influencer. So you have to budget to address that 4 million people. It makes too much sense.
Exactly. Which means if it makes too much sense to me and you, and it doesn't, pan out, then something is going on, and that's what we're gonna get to the bottom of.
Man, I tell you what, you have to come back, Dr. Austin, clearly, and have the discussion with us about that, because I've never even thought about that. I don't know how that works. I'm just in here trying to fight for my life. That's why you guys are out here.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another great episode of Living Your Life. Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Austin. Thank you, Tomia Austin. I tell you what, this was absolutely fantastic. And much
Absolutely.
love, and thank you for so much of the support that you all do at the As One Foundation. Come back anytime if you need to talk to us about anything you have going on, man. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'll be in contact.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Dr.
Thank you.
Hebert, we did another one, man. Hey, listen, don't forget to go hit that subscribe button for livingyourlife.online. We appreciate you, and we've enjoyed you. We'll see you next time on Live Your Life.
See you next time, y'all.